This Chat with the Experts is brought to you by Angie's List on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List. I'm Kyle Hawk, and I am joined today by Chris Cunningham, Service Plus Heating, Cooling, Plumbing, right here in Indianapolis. And we were just talking about how to save a few bucks on your energy bill this winter, but now we want to shift our focus to caring for your HVAC system. Because unfortunately, they do tend to break down from time to time, but there are some ways that you can be prepared for when the time comes. And I remember we'd just mentioned this in one of the shows we did last year with you, Chris, talking about ductwork replacement. And that's a big repair job that you hope doesn't come along very often, but when it does, wondered if you could share with us a little bit about what all is involved in tackling that kind of project.
Yeah, so in the rare event that you have to replace existing ductwork with like ductwork, usually there's a issue. Either you've had a rust issue, corrosion, maybe some damage, some reason that you've had to do that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times it's built into the wall or the ceiling, maybe in the basement, where you're going to have to tear out all the drywall to even get to it. Yeah. So, really accurate measurements going in, making sure that once it's back in there properly, that it's sealed so it doesn't leak into the unconditioned spaces. The ductwork replacement is an expensive option for most people, and it's pretty rare though. Quite honestly, usually it's added in when you're finishing an unfinished area or maybe finishing a basement or addition. Yeah,
and the systems are so efficient now that it just makes everything that much easier. And we've talked already earlier on the segment and in the past about things you can do to keep your system running as it should by, replacing filters and keeping an eye on things. But as we mentioned, no matter how good of a job you do with something like that, things can go wrong. Are extended service agreements a good idea to consider when it comes to your HVAC system? Is that something you should think about right off the bat as you're getting the new system installed?
Yeah, so when you're making that investment, this might be a purchase that you only make twice in your lifetime. And if you're happy with the contractor and you have a trust relationship there and they offer you an extended service plan, I would by all means consider it. I know we have a lot of success, not only keeping our customers happy, but also after they've spent, maybe $7,000 to $12,000 on a complete replacement system, that they don't want to have to spend another a few $100s down the road. So that extended service plan cares and maintains and also keeps that warranty in effect. Most manufacturers' warranties require that. So when you're buying a new system, make sure you look at that fine print, because you don't want to be left holding the bag 3-4 years down the road.
Yeah, so if I'm having Service Plus come out to do a tune-up on my heating system and check it out after it's been running for a year or two, what is typically included in that sort of service call?
Okay, so so we're going to clean the coils on the outdoor unit. We're going to kind of tear it apart, clean and service everything. We're also going to check on the gas pressure, making sure that that's in line with manufacturer's recommendations. We'll clean what's called a flame sensor, making sure that it has good connectivity so it senses the flame. We're going to test the safety circuits to make sure that in no way has anything become compromised with a malfunction that could jeopardize anybody's safety. We're also going to inspect that heat exchanger to make sure that that's safe. Really, the focus is on a safety aspects of that heating system, because we are burning fuel. Yeah. And then secondly, on the efficiency, making sure that system is running as efficiently as it's supposed to.
Yeah, and how often should something like that take place?
So we do 2 checks a year, one for the heating systems and one for the cooling systems. Most homes have both. And, so we do it about every 6 months. It's good to maintain that and make sure that's in working order. A lot of times we can head off problems, make recommendations. Customers aren't surprised then if it does break down. Yeah. I hear, yep, your guy said that might happen. And it's not like we have a magic wand and we can make it happen, but we can see down the road and say, hey, this thing's, starting to make some noise or drawing too many amps, or we're having some problems here electrically. And then we can, make some recommendations to the customer, and it's not such a shock to the system.
Right. Yeah. It makes so much sense to stay on top of things like that and catch the problems before they start. So we've been talking about heating on today's show, but since Service Plus also handles plumbing issues, while we're here, I wanted to shift the conversation really quickly and talk about your sewer line. And so for anyone that might be facing a backed up sewer line, what could be the issues there? What are the most common things that you see? go wrong?
Yeah, so you never think about your sewer line until you have a backup.
Yeah.
Or until somebody tells you a horror story. The typical problem, a customer will call up and they'll say, I'm having a drain backup. And our next question will be, is it one or all the drains? And if it's all the drains, that's usually attributed to your main line that leaves the house and travels out to the city sewer.
Okay.
So what you'll see is in those lines, they come compromised either with just regular old clogs, maybe toilet paper, kids flush down a rubber ducky, or you're in a situation where you've had maybe tree roots intrude into that line. And then once the tree root gets in there, it grows into a beautiful, thick, almost like a log inside there because it's drinking the water, if you will. And so when that happens, a lot of times it can be cleaned. Sometimes in the event that it can't, that has to be excavated out or pipe bursted out.
Yeah. And so we're going to get into that part of the conversation. And as we do that, who is actually responsible for the sewer line? Is it the homeowner or the city, or is there a line somewhere that separates that? Yeah,
there's a line of demarcation. Typically, always the city is responsible for the main line. Usually those are in the street. And then what they call the lateral, which comes off the main, typically the homeowner is responsible for that. The difference in demarcation might be some municipalities say, well, we'll take it from the street, or we'll take it from the tap, the actual point it connects. But most times homeowners are responsible for the entire lateral from the main into and throughout their home.
Okay.
So any of that gets compromised, either with tree roots, a collapse, clog, you're going to be responsible for that.
Yeah. And so, as you mentioned, sometimes there's just a simple drain cleaning that can take place and fix the problem. But other times, if you've got a tree root that's grown through there, that's a much bigger problem. It's going to require replacement. I mean, how do you tell in those situations? Or if you know that it's not a clog, are you having to dig right into the ground and see what's going on down there?
Yeah, so here's how the process works. Customer calls up, have a drain back up. The first thing to do is a plumber's going to come out and is going to run a cable-type drain machine down there. That cable drive is going to have an auger on it, and it's going to try to knock loose whatever's in there. If they can't do that, or they can maybe get the water out, once we get that water out, then we have a camera system. It's on a long fiber optic cable. We put that down the pipe, and that shows you exactly the clog. The neat thing about that is it also transmits a frequency that we can sense outside, and we can locate and pinpoint that exact location in the yard. So once we do that, if we know that that's the clog and that's the part we address, then we only have to excavate that portion.
Yeah.
So,
excellent.
Yep.
So one of the things that Service Plus offers in terms of sewer line replacement, if something major has gone wrong there, is trenchless sewer line replacement. So talk a little bit about the benefits of that.
Yeah. So imagine you have, expensive driveway, landscaping. The last thing you want is a nice big backhoe coming in and destroying your front yard.
Yeah.
You've invested a lot of money in that. So the inventors came up with a trenchless system, and basically what it is it pulls a fused pipe through your existing pipe. And while it does that, it's actually bursting or splitting your existing pipe. So what we can do is we can dig a small hole out into the street or right by the edge of the yard, and inside the basement or crawl space, we can dig, and there we're not touching the yard or the driveway. We've actually done these replacements without ever stepping foot on the yard or the driveway. It's a lot cleaner, a lot more efficient. Customers love it, and most municipalities it's approved, and you just want to check, make sure that it's approved before it is.
Yeah, that's it sounds like the best way to handle it for sure. Quickly, and talking about, if you don't need it replaced, you've just got a clog, or maybe you don't. How often should your sewer line be cleaned out? Should it just be when there's an issue that comes up, or should it be a regular thing?
So that's really kind of up to you. Some customers, we offer these coupons, or the drain cleaning coupons, where customers will just have it done as a preventative maintenance. It really depends on the type of system. If you have a PVC type system, and you might not even know without having it investigated, but those typically will not get the root intrusion, the problems, but they may have clogs from toilet paper or whatever build up. So that's good to have maybe done once a year. If you know you have a root problem, you probably need to be doing that at least once, if not more, to stay in front of it. The last thing you want to do is ignore it, and it just becomes so impacted that you have to excavate.
Right. It is time for us to take another break here on Chat with the Experts, but we're going to return in just a few minutes with 3 tips to consider when it comes to your home heating. We're also going to take your listener questions and get you some answers straight from our expert, Chris Cunningham of Service Plus. We're not blowing hot air today. You're listening to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List.
Do you love a good bargain? Angie'sList.com showcases popular deals from highly rated local companies so you can save time and money on the home and health services you need most. Remodeling your kitchen? Painting your house? Cleaning your carpet? We've got a deal for that. Angie's List members even have access to exclusive discounts, up to 80%. Don't waste another day or another dollar. Start shopping now at Angie'sList.com.